I'm Sadie Porter from the Porter House, and this is Hometown Oddities. I'm going to tell you the story of a serial offender that goes back more than 20 years. So the Daily Mail called him a repeat offender. This man has been forcibly sucking women's toes for the last 20 years. Okay, so as far as we know, his crimes date back to the year 2000. That's when this all started. So he sees a woman outside cleaning and walks up to her, tells her she has something on her shoe, and then tries to remove it. She screams, he runs away. He also worked at a grocery store at the time, and we know of at least 2 incidents where he removed someone's shoe while he was working. I don't even understand how that happened. Like literally, this grocery store where he's working, it's not like there's somewhere to sit down and he could walk up and just grab it. These people have to be walking around, so he's got to talk them out of their shoes, right? So as far as those are concerned, all that happened was a write-up. No police actually got involved. But after this, everything escalates. So he breaks into an elderly woman's house with a knife, forces her to take her shoes off, and sucks her toes.
Down to my feet. He untied the right shoe and pulled it off. And I said to myself, "You up to something." And I screamed and I said, "Get out."
What? Now just to clarify, I am not here to shame anyone. I do not care what you're into, as long as everyone involved is into it. That is not the case here.
Police say 17-year-old Michael Anthony Brown is the man who tried to come into Jaxie Helms' apartment and suck her toes.
Boy, he really had a grip on my ankle.
Police and neighbors say while Brown's alleged actions are certainly strange, they're definitely not funny. Police say Brown approached a different woman with a knife, exposed himself, and asked her to touch him.
At one point he grabbed her by the leg, and then he placed her toes into his mouth. And at some point he pulled the feet down and rubbed himself against her feet.
And police say Brown may have had similar contact with up to 10 additional women.
In the evening hours as they were doing yard work or even going into businesses, we have some reports that he's gone into local downtown businesses and had contact with females during the day.
Neighbors who heard about the attacks and feared for their safety say they're just happy the suspect is off the street.
So during this court case, he has a psych eval, and it didn't go great. So the psych report basically just says he is sexually attracted to feet and has other mental health disorders that contributed to these acts. So in February of 2001, he finally goes to court, and he's only 17 at the time. 3 years in jail, 10 years at least on the offender registry. So he gets out of prison in 2004, and lo and behold, 10 years later, it all escalates again. Okay, so let me set the scene. So it's 2014, you're a 40-year-old woman, you go into Walmart to do some grocery shopping and maybe buy some cheap shoes. A man in street clothes comes up to you, and there's a bit of a language barrier, but you know he's talking about shoes and trying them on, so you follow him to the shoe department. When I say street clothes, this is what I mean. A sweater. This is not a Walmart uniform. So he tells her that he is a podiatry student and that he needs to take a picture for research. So he helps her try on some shoes and then takes the shoes off and puts her foot in his mouth in the middle of Walmart. So she gets upset, of course, and he, I guess feels bad and offers to pay for her groceries. I mean, with the price of eggs. But instead, she does what she's supposed to do and reports it. She calls her husband and tells him, they call the cops, they explain everything, and it all just spirals.
Michael Anthony Brown is accused of sucking on a woman's toes at a Walmart in North Carolina after convincing her that he was a podiatry student.
Excuse me?
Foot in his mouth, and when she got upset, he offered to pay for her groceries. Instead, she alerted police. Police say Brown is a registered sex offender, reportedly with a history of toe-sucking offenses.
So they serve a warrant and end up catching him, taking him back to the city where it happened, which was not that far from where he was. But when that news report comes out, the calls come pouring in. Apparently, he had been going to Walmarts all over North and South Carolina doing the same thing. It even came out that there was a much less publicized incident in 2012 where the exact same thing happened to a different woman at a different Walmart. Same perpetrator. So after all that, he finally goes to court, but unfortunately, the victim does not come to testify, and he's only sentenced to 60 days. So he apologizes in court for his actions. He gets his 3 weeks time served and then finishes out his 60-day sentence. At the end of the day, I just hope that all these women were able to move on with their lives and that he has received some help and is making better choices. But, you know what they say. Give them an inch and they'll take a foot.